I'm Libby Brody, certified wine consultant, columnist and wine communicator, and I'll be exploring the wine route of Lisboa, discovering the culture, the food, the landscape and the people, and of course, trying the wines and finding out just what makes them so very special.
We're now off to visit Lisbon's first urban winery. It's an absolutely fascinating idea where you don't really need a vineyard to make exceptional wines. And this place clearly looks pretty funky too.
So here we are at Adega Belém, and it's actually the only urban winery in Lisbon city centre. I'm fascinated by urban wineries because we always think of vineyards in these beautiful, bucolic countryside locations. But actually, you're right in the heart of the city, doing some really cool things. So thank you so much for having us here.
Thanks for coming.
Please tell me about when your winery started in the city and why you decided to do this.
So we started in 2020, we started with COVID, so that was an extra challenge. And the idea to bring the winery in the city, it's because that's where people are, that's where we live. We want to be present here. We are the winemakers, the owners, the everything welcome people. And we want it to be where people are. It's much easier also to talk about wine if you have people. And we wanted to make our style of wine, so nothing better than the city.
May I start trying some of your wine as we chat?
So we'll start with a white wine, Vinho. So this is actually 100% Lisbon wine. So the grapes come from a vineyard just 1 kilometer away from here, under the bridge, the 25 de Abril. And it develops completely different in Lisbon because Lisbon is hot and dry. We are not so used of this. We always talk about the Mediterranean weather. No, Lisbon is hot and dry. And so we start harvesting this last week of July.
Last week of July.
Yeah.
So this is a real Lisbon wine, made here, grown here, made here, and enjoyed here.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that really is beautiful. Really intense flavors, very aromatic. What sort of people visit your urban winery?
For cellar tours, we mostly have tourists. Then we have many locals, many residents that come here to have a glass of wine.
That's fantastic. It feels like the culture of Lisbon. It feels like it's very much about enjoyment. Everyone seems to have good food, welcomes, wine. Now, this is really exciting. I was actually going to ask about the sparkling that you have there.
Sparkling.
So this is a traditional method. So that's sort of the champagne method of sparkling.
This is a traditional method. So we do a second fermentation in the bottle, like in champagne. It's a blanc de noir made of trincadeira.
Yeah.
Grapes from Lisbon again, not Lisbon city, but the Lisbon coast in Estoril. And it's a vineyard that belongs to a seminar, and we pick the grapes.
Absolutely fantastic. Love the sound. Woo! And this seems very fitting because you were just talking about people coming here and visiting, and you actually do have a hen party here at the moment. So I feel like we should be raising a glass to them at the moment. Cheers.
To the bride.
To the bride. Cheers. It's obviously a very fun, celebratory place for groups. That is absolutely gorgeous. How long has that been on the lees?
17 months.
Wow.
So we disgorge à la volée. By hand, we don't freeze the neck. And we use the cold in the winery to do it. And we do it, the two of us.
Wow.
So it's as manual as it can get.
This is a really family-run.
It is.
So I have to ask about these incredible labels you've got because they're so beautiful and so brightly coloured.
So all or most of the labels are drawings from our daughters. We have 2 girls. They like to draw and we like the drawings. And we thought there's nothing better than really make them feel part of the team. And because they help us, they pick grapes, they bottle, they label, and it's really part.
I love it. No, this is. I mean, I didn't want to make you cry, but it feels like it's happy tears because this is such a wonderful family. Oh, wow! To your daughters.
To our daughters.
Cheers. You have this beautiful red as well, I see.
Yeah, this is a red. So the grapes come from the same vineyard as the sparkling. It's Castelão. Castelão is the red grape of the Lisbon region, in the little bit south of the Tagus. It's very light-colored reds usually, but very fine, very structured, very filigrane in the mouth. High acidity because the vineyards are close to the ocean. So we're talking about 800 meters from the Atlantic. So you can really feel the Atlantic breeze in here. Like contrarily to what we expect, Lisbon is hot and dry, so we start really early the harvest, and then we move 15 kilometers in the coast, and we are talking about harvesting a month later because you have the Atlantic wind coming from. So you have really cool nights, not so hot, and that's why people, the rich families from Lisbon, they used to spend the holidays in Estoril.
Ah, okay.
So we're talking a holiday wine.
A holiday wine.
if we could say that, our Senhora Rita.
And I've just been staring and salivating over this. Is this very traditional?
It is. This is a Iberian pig presunto, so ham. Iberian pig is a black skin pig that lives most of their lives outside. They eat a lot of acorns, so they are very muscled, very fatty, very juicy. Lovely. You should try.
So I'm gonna dig in, and I feel like it would go with this wine really, really well. So here's to that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers with my wine and my meat.
It's good, isn't it?
It's a beautiful match, beautiful pairing. And these wines are absolutely fantastic. And I love the whole vibe of this place. It's so fun and so vibrant. And you are so lovely.
Thanks.
And I love the fact that it is such an important and meaningful endeavour for you and your family. So cheers.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
This is actually my first visit to Lisbon city itself, and I'm immediately impressed by the warmth of the people and the fun, playful nature of the city itself. It's a really beautiful destination and the architecture is incredible. We're heading to downtown Lisbon, where I'm going to be speaking to a chef who takes the Atlantic influence seriously when it comes to his seaweed-based cooking. It's getting all a little fine around here.
So we're here in Aurea, a beautiful restaurant in downtown Lisbon's first five-star hotel. And I'm here with chef Pedro Mendes, who I believe specialises in the food of this region or takes inspiration from the region. I'd love to hear more about what you create.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I take inspiration from our sea. There's a tendency to say that Portugal is on the Mediterranean, and that's not true. We are in the Atlantic. So because the Atlantic it's colder, then it provides us with wonderful produces from fish, from seafood, from shellfish, and from vegetables. And that's the one thing that I've been working on a lot. The ocean is also vegetable, not only animal.
Really? I mean, and what do you mean by that?
So seaweed is seaweed. We have around 600 species of seaweed already identified in our coastline. I'm working so far with about 14 of them, so we're just scratching the surface. But it's sustainability, it's local, and most of all, it's very, very nutritious. And they're very tasty.
And can you identify different flavors in the 14 different types of seaweed? Do they have different properties?
They taste different, and then it's about the texture, it's about the flavor, and it's also the way you work them. Some you deep fry, some you make flowers, some you do pickles. You can do so many things.
Maybe try some of the wine and some of these.
Yeah. We're gonna start with sparkling wine, Portuguese sparkling wine from this region. Again, with the vineyards who are close to the ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, so it kind of gives it a bit of a saltiness.
And I see that we have these sort of seaweed crisps here. Oh, great.
Yes.
Get that bottle open. Wonderful.
Now that's a wonderful sparkling wine.
It looks great.
Berbereta from
I believe you.
the region of Lisbon. And it goes very, very well with those crackers that you just started mentioning. Now, these crisps are made, you could make them with rice. I make them with tapioca. So it's basically you cook the tapioca, you cook it with seaweed in powder, like a flour, dehydrated, and then deep fry them. And yeah, you can hear.
They've got a very satisfying crack, don't they?
And then it goes very, very well with this sparkling wine.
And you get absolutely that seaside flavor there, that lovely green saltiness.
Yeah. I wanted you to taste it just plain. And now here, what we do is we have the same cracker, We got sea fingers. Now that's not a seaweed, but it's a sea herb. So the same cracker has a little pickle of a seaweed. It has these sea fingers, and it has a little cockle as well. So it's
Now, do I eat this all in one?
yes, yes,
Okay.
just all in one.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
There's some passion fruit in it as well.
As well. My goodness. All right.
You won't fake your face.
There's a lot going on. The passion fruit is a bit of a surprise. And actually goes really well with that salty seaweed flavour, which I would not have.
Kind of balances it a little bit.
I would not have considered those two. But it's great. And again, I'm going to try that with that sparkling wine.
So Lisbon is really a booming center of food from all over, and it has its own identity, of course, made for centuries. There's one dish here, for instance.
Okay, I'm going to have to bring this over to me, I think.
We call them peixinho da horta, meaning fish from the land. Sorry, peixinho da horta. Now I make this with seaweed, of course. It's a tempura, and this tempura is typical from the city of Lisbon.
That is absolutely divine.
Nice and crispy.
It's perfect. It's got that crispiness, but also that light softness as well in it. Can we try the other wine, please?
Yes,
if
of
that's
course.
all right. And then what's this final
Now
dish we've got?
Monte Douro. Now we have a nice white wine, which goes very well with that dish. That dish is the most Lisbon dish you can ever find.
It looks fantastic. And what do you mean by it being the most Lisbon dish?
Basically, the original recipe here it's called bacalhau à Brás, meaning codfish Brás style. Now Brás was a gentleman who owned an eatery back in the 1800s. He came up with this dish with codfish, fried onions, fries, and scrambled eggs. That's basically what it is.
And scrambled eggs.
Now, I made this recipe, I took out the codfish and I put a seaweed called the sea lettuce. And the sea lettuce, it's a seaweed that grows here in Lisbon. So it's the most Lisbon dish you can ever find.
I love that. And I love the innovation that you brought by bringing those flavours of the Atlantic, not only into the wines that we've witnessed so well, but into all the dishes and the food that you're providing here. It's really spectacular. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
So good. Cheers.
Well, that's me done for the day. Sated on seaweed and sparkling wine, I'm going to head off and find another little wine bar to enjoy some more. Good night.